Good morning, guys. Today I'm going to talk about my Practicum agency, which is the Learning Community Center of South Omaha, which is in partnership with One World Community Health Centers. Here's our address, contact information, and our director, Anna O'Hara. The learning community works with children and families to challenge the opportunity gap through childhood education, family engagement, and future teacher preparation. Valued partners come from public education, higher education, nonprofit organizations, and the philanthropy community. Investments look to the future, so focus on creating those stronger communities and a better future for everyone. So we are kind of focused on closing that opportunity achievement gap, which I'll get to in a little bit. We have two community centers, the North and South Omaha location. We were founded in 2012, starting with that South Omaha location. We do have a learning community coordinating council, which are elected members of local government who approve or deny certain decisions made by the learning community. Looking at our South Omaha Center, which is the one I'm at, we are specifically partnered with One World, which is unique to the South Omaha Center. Um, we receive a lot of funding and advocacy from them, so that's definitely we're very grateful for that partnership. Um, we do again working on closing that opportunity gap, and what that means is certain children and families, once they enter the public education system, aren't necessarily aware of how that school system works, and some of those kids don't have the support systems needed that some other children have. So we work on having that second generation learning curriculum, which empowers parents to be more active in the child's learning. Here's our official mission statement. So, together with school districts and community organizations, as partners, we demonstrate, share, and implement more effective practices to measurably improve educational outcomes for children and families in poverty. Okay, so looking at our funding, I did kind of mention we were receiving most of our money through federal grants, and of course, we receive funding from One World Community Health Centers, specific for the South Omaha location. We also do have donors and partners. I listed a couple here. Buffett Early Childhood Fund and Humanities Nebraska. And it's important to note that all the services supplied by the learning community are free for participants. And looking at participants, how do you become a participant at our center? Well, the references are usually made through OPS or One World, but no specific practical referrals are needed to be in the program. Most of our participants just come in, walk through the center, and have open enrollment. Um, it is required that you have a child 5 or under and that you live in a certain zip code within South Omaha. And the program kind of meets students where they are at, so that can be through child learning or parent education. Okay, as we go in deeper to these services, parent education, what that means is having the parents go through an ESL program, which English Second Language, and they're kind of put into those classes based on their English skill level. Once they complete that program, usually takes 3 years, depending on how familiar they are with the language. They also take parent workshop classes, which are every other Wednesday, which teaches them skills on parenting and being more involved with the child growing up. The parenting education classes also offer a GED program, which empowers participants to uh, allow for better work opportunities, better wages, and in the future allows them to be more involved if the child decides to go to college. We also offer workforce development, which involves a lot of certifications, partnered with Metro Community College. And Once they have that GED, it allows them to connect them with career resources. It allows them to strive for their career goals, educational goals they have for the future. As we continue looking at services, a big component of our center is the educational navigator. Um, Educational navigators, their role is to build relationships with families. They are trusted coaches, friends, and teachers in a sense. They help set up goals for the whole family, providing support and solving problems, finding a way to use new skills. Um, Navigators also provide one-on-one in-home visits. That is a big part of our program with those home visits. They understand that every family is different, which is why these home visits are so important, because a lot of these families come from different backgrounds. Families often feel more comfortable when they're at home, so it allows them to express concerns that maybe they wouldn't express at the center. With the support from a navigator, families turn challenges into family opportunities. Navigators use these support steps, being assessing family needs, connecting parents to resources, um, kind of taking that modeling learning approach as they coach these parents. Um, so, yeah, the social assistance navigator, which is more of like a social worker position, um, allows them to connect participants for needs they have that aren't education based. So this may be like finances, basic needs needed in the house. Um, they provide empowerment to families so that they can become well connected within the community. They basically want to provide a safe, comforting living situation so that they can attend these classes and workshops that are here at the center. Family activities. So when school's out, kind of think of this as like a normal school for these participants. So during the summer or when there's breaks, there are a lot of family-focused activities, which are a great learning opportunity. So the center offers field trips for parents and children to get out of the community. A lot of these participants don't have transportation, and so they're kind of stuck to that South Omaha area. So it's important for families to like get to know the Omaha area and know what opportunities are there for recreational or just learning about their city in general. Some family activity examples include those college preparation STEM learning partnerships, Prime Time, which is where families are able to read together with other children. Um, Music, they have field trips to the zoo. We have String Sprouts, which is a violin class offered for the kids. And they have field trips to the state capitol. And we have those family summer camps, which is intended to be like a summer camp for the participants. It's also important to note that the child care component to our program is intended. We do kind of focus on those parents learning those skills, but while they're there in those classes, um, it's encouraged that they bring their child who is 5 or younger, to the center, and that is where they learn new skills, have interaction with other children. Um, they have kind of have their own educational system solely based for the kids, while the parents themselves are in classes. And I think it's an important modeling approach that as these kids grow up, they see their parents in classes. So it's just a great combination of learning and educational resources. As we look at the strengths of our agency, a big component that I've seen while my short time here at the agency is overall empowering the South Omaha area. As we look at these participants, most of them come here within a year or 2 years of being in the United States, coming from Latin America. So a big part of, although we don't promote it, it's generally known that we have a lot of Latino heritage within our participants. And so, most of the time when I'm at the agency, I'm speaking Spanish like 90% of the time. But there are also participants who don't speak Spanish, don't speak English. They speak Kanghobal or other indigenous languages native to Latin America. So a big portion of our agency is being very accessible with language and transportation as well. Um, we have a bus that kind of transports um, students and their kids to the center every morning and every afternoon for their classes. And kind of going into that, we are a little small building in terms of large scale agencies, but I think I am a very close knit community resource for the South Omaha area. We're kind of a beacon for resources or social assistance needed in the community. Some barriers. So again, kind of going into that Latino population, a lot of the immigration policy kind of hinders us in recommending employment or jobs for participants. So something that I have noticed when I'm working with participants is they're looking for a job, but they don't have proper documentation to work in the United States. So we are legally not allowed to help them get a job. And from there we kind of work on a strength-based approach, looking at what family and friends are saying about jobs and not connect them with an actual job. That zip code eligibility is a barrier for parents that aren't directly in that address with the zip code match. So just reaching more participants in general. Another barrier is when we try to refer our participants to agencies that we know are bilingual, but it is very difficult that agencies that don't speak Spanish, because of a lot of our participants are native Spanish speakers. And another barrier for the agency overall is the stereotypes faced by the South Omaha population, um, whether that's political stereotypes or racially backed stereotypes. We're looking to empower Latino heritage and the strengthening of the community in South Omaha. Just looking at my responsibilities as a practicum student, I'm kind of assigned as that social assistant navigator position, kind of. So I do pre-assessment screening. So those are participants who haven't received social services. We just want to make sure that they're doing okay in their classes, and if they need anything at home, um, that could help them be more stable in their classes. And we kind of split up our referrals for social assistance in two ways. We have a simple social assistance referral, which is a more simple case management job. So whether that be finding a car seat, getting right to the clinic, filling out a passport application, or something like that. Complex social assistance referrals is when we are notified that maybe there's domestic abuse in the house, or maybe there's eviction notices, maybe there's deportation notices for our participants. Those involve a much more caseload and a lot more work for that participant. I also do COVID check-in calls. So right now, as you know, we work with One World, depending on whether we're at red status or green status with the check-in for COVID if participants calling sick. Also, I lead these info sessions called Sembrando Conexiones, which is growing connections. So that is to inform participants of community resources such as Metro, the Metro bus, the library, and food pantries. I also help oversee the workforce development, which I kind of talked about earlier, which is connecting these GED students who have already graduated to careers and classes at Metro Community College. Here is our eco map here. So we have the LCCO Center here, um, our big partnership with One World, connections through obviously, OPS, donors. Uh, Here's some agencies that I often refer participants to. So the Heart Ministries, Children's Hospital, they often help with car seats and children's safety overall. Uh, DCCR, which I'm sure many of you have heard about. They kind of meet emergency responses for families, so that can help alleviate struggles with eviction notices. Or let's say I had a participant who didn't have any furniture, so they kind of help provide assistance to that. Um, Here's kind of a negative correlation is the immigration policy. Kind of makes it hard for us to work with families sometimes. Makes it hard for families to live in South Omaha or attend the classes sometimes. So I would say that's the biggest barrier for us here at the center. Okay, and here are some discussion questions for our little group today. What are some ways your practicum agency works to empower the Latino immigrant population? If it does not, how can it? Um, Out of the services we offer, which was the most surprising or of interest to you? And lastly, what are some needs in South Omaha that you have seen or personally experienced or heard about that you think can be met by our agency? Other than that, thank you for your time and thank you for listening to me speak on my agency. Thank you guys.